top 100. Who would have thought? But we did it. We did it with 60 odd points of clearance, and I, in the end, finished 68th overall for AFLW Fantasy. Quite a crazy ending to the season. I was away from, I didn't actually watch the last game, and I was away from, so I was just looking at some of the scores on my phone through it all, and that was nerve-wracking. It was definitely nerve-wracking seeing a lot of the Freo as well as the Adelaide girls go off in that final game. A lot of the ones that were pottish for me, but in the end, we did it, and we're going to go through how it all went down. But if you're new to this channel, remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload it, especially as we transition into the BBL season with only about 40 odd days to go until that starts. But anyway, let's go through the final round of AFLW Fantasy. So, first of all, you can see here the ending rank for me, 68th overall. With 1855, I actually tied, well, we tied 68th with this guy here as well, this person there. We tied there. They came back with an absolute heater of a round to draw level with me. That's probably, they probably came from the clouds. But yeah, 18,055 points for 68th for the round. And I was just sort of thinking back on some decisions. Like, we remember the Charlie Rowbottom versus Laura Gardner debate to start the year. If I'd gone Laura Gardner, over the likes of, and I'm just going to do it through, because it's going to be easier, honestly, to show it through here. If I'd gone that, Gardner through the first two rounds had scored 249 points, whereas Rowbottom through the first two rounds had scored only 152. So that was a gap of actually, 152 and did we say 249? So that's a gap of 97 points. Now, if we go back here, 97 points, that one decision, 97 points. And I know it had some cash generation issues as well there. But that would have put me at 18,152. So 152, that one decision cost me 36th or so. 35th actually. It would have cost me directly 35th. Which is quite crazy to think that that is half my rank there in that one decision. But oh well, it is what it is. As well as having the Woodland versus Window. We traded out for Window as well. That one decision, I think you can categorically say Window 7 points across 2 rounds. That wouldn't have happened, obviously. And I think Woodland in that time, if we just go back to Woodland, in that time against, where is it? We'll bring up Windows 7 or whatever it was. Windows scored, so it was round 8 and 9. If I'd kept the likes of Woodland, that is already another 176 points. So 176 points on its own. That was an easy decision just to hold Woodland in the end. 176 points would be 61, 131, 231, and 231 would have been 23rd. So just those two decisions would have got me, what was it, 238, 328 from just the Gardner versus Rowbottom and then also the Window debate. Those two big calls that I messed up, I would have finished 11th, but you know, you can reminisce on that. Obviously, I'm just happy that I finished top 100 in the end. But now we get to what is, and I just want to bring up Jaden's website here and top ownership to show you what I was looking at in the final round and in the final game and going, this is worrying. If we go to defenders and we go to in the top 100 here, you'll see in the final round, in the final everything, this was obviously going into the final round, so we don't know Emma O'Driscoll's and Goodwin's percentages overall, but you can see I was thinking final game, O'Driscoll, Goodwin are the two there. There's only two there, O'Driscoll and Goodwin. Now, if we go midfielders, there was basically no one because also the likes of Benici was earlier out in the in that Collingwood game, so there was no real midfielders that I had to worry about. Then if we go to the ruck line, you will see obviously it's Scholes versus Strom. Strom 48% owned. That's probably roughly about the same, maybe 45% owned. So we had 45, a 22, and a 19. And then we go to the forward line as well. and you'll see that in the forward line, the only ones to really concern about in the final game of the round was the likes of Caitlin Gould. There was no one else that was going to be highly owned. I know people would have traded into players, but those were the three I was like, okay, got to be worried about them, those ones, as well as Noffy double the captaincy. Most of them had her as the fullback, so that was the worry as well. Now you look at all the top scorers. You got Noffy at 131. That was concerning. I was debating with some others being like, I think 190 is the cutoff for me getting top 100. So I was glad that she didn't have that monster game. She only had 26 touches and 14 tackles for a 131. Goodwin, out of nowhere, goes 116. And she was on like 68 at halftime, and I was going, uh-oh, that's a concern. This is a real concern. I started the last game of the season at 31st once my scores had kicked in from the Egan loophole of both it was 248 points in total from Goodwin's 90, not Goodwin, Heath's 90, sorry, and then also Gardner's 158 captaincy. Her extra 19 points massively helped me. Because that was worth 38 points in general, but at least 19 points on top of others that would have had her at least in general. So that was huge. But you see, top three scorers all going above 110 that I had to handle basically anti-potting in a way to a certain extent. Goodwin we know is about 15 to 20% ownership. Strom about 50% ownership in the top 100, probably 45 or so. And then O'Driscoll pulling out a decent score of an 82 as well. So that was worrying. And then only Bowers was actually on fire early, I think, and then had a really poor last quarter to only get to an 80. And then Gould was also on, I think, like 40 at halftime, and that was really concerning because she was one that was a potential one that she was going to go off, but she only got to the 67. But you can see the concern there that the three top scorers, and then also top was that 7th or 8th scorer, and then also the 10th or 11th highest scorer were the 4 pods that I basically had to play against. If one of them had failed, it would have made it a lot easier. I know I had 60 points clearance, but man, was that a worry concern. If Goodwin had just gone like 70 or something, or Strom had gone 80, this would have been a lot easier. I probably, in the end, if those two had done that, probably finished like 60th, 55th, but we take the 68th finish. And now we will walk through what happened in the end for that final round. So if we go to this, that'll be a round 11. So it won't actually show us our round 12 rank. A little bit annoying that it doesn't do that, but it is what it is. So overall rank 81st. That's not right. So yeah, that was coming into the round. I was overall rank 81st, and then obviously moved up a little bit to 68th in the end. Chaplin, that was a horrific buy. I went for the spike score, and she really delivered a bust score in the final round. If I'd gone O'Driscoll instead, I think that would have been like a 60-point swing or something like that in both things. It would have been 4 points plus 48, so it would have been 52-point swing. And we know if we were to look back at the standings there, I don't know if I can do it from here. Probably not. It would be probably another sort of 15 ranks or so, that 50 points, but it is what it is. Lucas Rod, 64. She was so highly owned, it didn't matter. Watson, 76. She really heated up in that second term. I think it was like a 40-point second or so. The third quarter as well, she went off. So job done there. McLaughlin, 85. It was just that one decision there. Basically when she played forward, and then I missed out on her 84 and then got back into her. I wish I had just honestly held her at that point, would have saved a trade and all that. Would have just helped out quite dramatically. And then Heath, 90. So Heath went, 62 and 90 in my side or something. So pretty decent trade in there. One of the better ones in the back end for the defenders. Then the big five midfielders. If we look at it again, we look at averages there. You can see massive clearance there. And Benici obviously didn't play the last game, but her clearances in the back end weren't the best. Even the likes of Ella Roberts, 83, 101, 101 last 3. I also just want to check Mon Conti last 3. She went 61, 102, 108, and 52. So she fell away quite dramatically. Prisparkas, 72, 69, 108. So the last 3, you're actually going to see, if I go to Stat Center for midfielders, quite a big difference in the last 3. Obviously, Bowers down a little bit, but Newton was the 5th best midfielder, row bottom, and then Benici. But Benici, you can effectively say that she had that out game in the last one, so it doesn't really count as a best 3 because she didn't do it when it mattered. And then Isabella Dawes as well, 99, 127, 86, so she was quality as well. But you can see that 4 out of the top 5 midfielders cleared dramatically from the best of the rest. Obviously, Rowbottom came back into form, and Bowers as well had 2 pretty decent games and then a bad game in the final game of the season. But she was up there at about, she was clearing 113.5 going into the final game. And obviously, Newton was doing a similar sort of thing in the last 3. She's going to be one for next year, I feel like, Newton, that I will just have a sneaky look at because she's had a hell of a season. 98 average, she could take it to the next level, especially with her back end form. She was fantastic in the final 6 to 8 weeks of the season. Her first 4 weeks were pretty poor, so I think there's upside there. But yeah, you can just see the big 4, or 4 out of the 5. The main big 4, I would say, in Gardner, Noffy, Garner, and Riddell, all pumping out consistently, far and away, the best of everyone. And then Bowers was the clear 5th. In the end, it was actually Gardner that finished top of the pile, which is quite crazy to say. After a 141 and a 158 finish, she went absolutely ballistic at the end. But yeah, will be interesting to see what the debate is next year on who to start. I do think most will probably gravitate to the likes of a Garner next year, but that's next year's discussion that will probably pick up in, July, somewhere around that end. But yeah. But just so happy with these. Scholes, she was secondary ruck, the second ruck, I should say, in general, in terms of scoring. I mean, Lucy Wales just jumped over the top of her, but she didn't, in terms of average, but didn't play the last 3-4 weeks. And then you've got Strom as well, 101 average. So Strom actually ended very, very close to what she averaged last year as well. But yeah, Scholes, if you take out that 48 from Scholes, and you take that out, that's 1,094 points through 11 games, which is an average of like 99.5. So that one game, basically, after the first game of the year, where Strom went 105, and the likes of Scholes went, we can actually work this out almost. Yeah, Strom after game 1 went and cleared Scholes. After the first 2 games, Strom cleared Scholes by a combined, 194 for her. So that would have been 1,026 compared to Scholes going 129, which, yeah, she cleared Scholes, Strom did, by 16 points in the last 10 games of the year, which, when you think about it like that, Scholes was actually ahead going into the last round, and then she was up by 7 points heading into the last round, and then gave up 23 further to the likes of Strom to fall behind by a little bit. But you can see how much gap that was made up. When Scholes started the season, I'm pretty sure priced at 75 or something like that, and Strom started it at 105. It may have even been a further gap than that, but just shows how quickly that gap was made up. And yeah, Scholes was fantastic. Definitely the ruck buy of the year, and glad that I held her the whole time. There was definitely times where I just thought maybe I should trade her out, maybe I should move her on. But yeah, just super happy there. Woodland, yeah, she ended up on a 55 for the last game of the year. And in the end, it was in the forward line. The top 2 were the obvious ones. Woodland, the third one there. And then Hodder ended up at the F4 and Malloy F5. Too Good came home like a house on fire. She was absolutely fantastic, and probably just one that I missed. That was probably, if I had gone Too Good earlier instead of what I did do, then I probably end up with a better rank, but sometimes you just mess it up, and Too Good was one that I just messed up. I just thought that her tackling wasn't going to be the greatest, and it turned out that she was fine. And yeah, her non-disposal points still held up, which was really, really good to see. But she ended up on a 73, which, yeah, just ended up being really, really good value in the back end, and just really quality there. And then Mullins as well, an 87 to end. Wish I'd gone Mullins earlier. That could have been a massive, massive game breaker if I had at her at like 740k. Instead of even Window that decision. If I gone Mullins instead of Window in like well, in round 8, if I'd gone, because window was round 8, round 9. If I'd gone Mullins in that decision there, boy oh boy, and held Woodland, would that have been, I mean, it would have held Woodland and then also potentially got Mullins or something for another trade. That would have made me a bucket load of points, and it would have also, probably would have got me a top 20 finish or something like that. That's how ridiculous Mullins has been to the back end. I got Paige Scott as a security just in case of Goldsworthy being late out, and so she had ended up on a 35 and had Cos for most of the year, but decided to go with Egan for the best. Just know it's going to, I mean, Cos is out for the year, but just knew that I'd be able to get the loophole in of Gardner because I knew Gardner was going to score well. So yeah, really, really happy about it. To finish 68th overall is a really good achievement. Gets me my second top 100 now across the different games, following up from a 90 finish in the BBL Supercoach a couple years ago. Can't wait to get into all of that stuff as you'll start to see my team previews come out in due course. But anyway, what a way to wrap up the AFLW Fantasy season. I hope you guys ended up with the ranks that you guys wanted. I hope that I was able to help you somewhat. I know the videos weren't as probably consistent as I probably wanted them to be across the season. That's something I'll strive to be better at. But anyway, I hope you guys are along for the ride of the BBL Supercoach season, as we have about 40 odd days until that that season kicks off on December 14th. So I'll be here along with a lot of videos and occasional live stream for that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and I will see you guys in my BBL previews. Bye guys.